I took my old Honda Dream, the 1962 CA77, out for a nice morning cruise this morning on a beautiful Saturday morning in November. It was truly a wonderful day to ride around here. You didn't need any Arctic gear or anything, and your standard gear felt bad. However, I noticed that it was leaking underneath the gas cap, and I'm looking at it. And as you can see, this area of the cork here is permanently deformed. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to 3D print a new gasket, and I'll show you how I do that. But first I do everything, I start with a drawing. I'm just tracing out this one. In all honesty, if I were to trace it perfectly, I could scan that in and open it in Gasket and have a drawing that I could use. But what I'm going to do here, since I didn't sketch it very perfectly, I've got my old cheap. You can use almost any cheap caliper is good for this. Most 3D printers run in metric, so set the dial to millimeters, which is what I prefer to use anyway, because let's face it, I'm a Japanese motorcycle guy. That's the reason why I prefer the metric system. Measure the inside. I got 40 on one. So let's see how that corresponds on here. Yep, that measures good on here too. I could make it tighter and make it 40. And that will be just fine. I will do that. The inside hole is 40 millimeters. Sketch that out. Diameter 40 millimeters. The outside, go back to 0. 62 millimeters. So that works great. It gives us a nice even round number to draw from. And yes, I've done this before. I use Overture TPU 95A for this kind of thing. It works great. TPU is an incredible printing filament. It is also fuel resistant. And that is it's pretty much 3.05 millimeters thick. So probably what I'm going to do to make up for compression and all that, I'm going to make that 3.2 millimeters thick. Now I'll go sit down at the computer and draw this up. That'll only take a few minutes. Okay, I'm sitting here at my desk. We're getting ready to 3D model this fuel cap gasket so I can get it prepped for 3D printing. As you can see right here, I've got my notes directly in front of me here. I have my screen with my CAD software on it. I've thought about just using the computer on screen video, but do something. First thing I want to do is I want to change this layout to a top orientation. Then I'm going to, this is fairly simple. This is Gasket. It's very similar to AutoCAD. And the 3D work is more primitive than it would be with software like SolidWorks or even FreeCAD. But this does have the advantage for me, for when I'm working from home, doing engineering work, to be able to exchange drawings with AutoCAD and with other formats. I actually consider this software to be better. Let me see. That is the inside hole. Snap to the center so that it's concentric. Now, see, that is 62 millimeters, just like on our drawing. And that is 40 millimeters, just like on our drawing. Those are diameter measurements. Now we're going to tilt this up. And we're going to extrude. I'll do it. There's ways you can do this that's not quite so primitive, but I'm just going to do this just because it's a quick and easy way. I will set that height at 3.6 millimeters on that one. Okay. Then we'll do this one. And we'll set our height at 3.2 millimeters. Now, of course, that leaves us with a solid surface here, so we'll hit subtract. Select the entity to subtract from, is that one. Then we'll select the entity to subtract, and that is that one. And then we hit enter, and there we have a 3D model with a hole in it, and the perfect size for our gasket. So now we'll do a save. A 3D print folder. Right here where it says dream. And put TPU fuel cap gasket. It's easy peasy, there's no need to overthink these things. Do it anyway, any harder than you have to. Now, let's come over here. Just to export. Because 3D printing wants it. In an STL format. So I will hit save right here. And then select the object. Hit enter. And that's it. It's done. Now let's open up some slicer software and put it to work. Now let's start a new project. New project. Okay, let me pick out my material because the last thing I'd been printing with it was, I'm going to print generic TPU. I'm going to go with a 0.16 standard quality. A little finer layer lines, they just will actually glue together so much better. I'm going to make my seam position of random. Go through my various settings here. No ironing. Walls, inner and outer. Okay, for walls, now this is the key to strength on something like this. We want to go with 5 walls. Top shell layers is at 5, bottom shell layers, so we're going to set that at 5 also. That'll make it very strong while allowing us to keep a very low infill density. because you want this to remain soft. And that's the way you control that on TPU, is with your density. Now let's open up the file, import. Go to drain. And you see we have the fuel cap gasket laying in here. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to set the speed on this thing to print fairly slowly, even though I'm using a high speed TPU. Just because I'm shooting more for top quality than anything else. So I will slow this down a lot. I'm going to move this on the build plate. I think while I'm here, I'll go ahead and make more than one. If they come out well, somebody out there might want one. And there we have everything aligned on here. I'm going to set my printing order to prevent stringing. I'm going to set that by to print one at a time. That's what I'm running for. Okay, so there we have it. Wall loops 5, top and bottom surfaces 5. Printing speed is slowed down between 40 and 60 depending on what we're doing. And I've got 4 of them loaded on the build plate, and I want to print them one at a time. And that will work. Quite happy with that. I've already got some Overture TPU 95 loaded into the filament dryer on the back of my machine. And it's been there for a little while now, so I'll just send it to the printer. I like to do print calibration. So that follow all the warnings. Let it load it up. We'll walk inside now and we'll take a look at this. I actually keep the printers in the house, in the spare room in the house, because they're really dependent on humidity. They're really sensitive to humidity. So I like to keep them in as low humidity an environment as possible. I'm running a smooth PEI build plate on here. Whenever I'm printing anything that really sticks hard to the build plate, like TPU or PETG, I will give it a good thick coat of good old-fashioned Aquanet hairspray. In this case, I'm not doing it to make the stuff stick to the bed. I'm doing it to make sure I can get the stuff off the bed. And here you go, you can see my Creality K1 putting in the work. It's printing out these gaskets for me. I mentioned I had the TPU filament in a dryer box. It's feeding directly into the machine. Now all we have to do is wait a little while for these to finish. Get these off of here. They came out a little stringy. I could have dialed in the print settings a little better. But they'll clean right up. And they're plenty strong. They're very flexible. And TPU is totally fuel resistant and everything else. So these make great gas cap gaskets. I've done this before, so I can use this anywhere that's not subject to high heat to make a gasket. Let me clean these off, and we'll go put one on the bike. Well, got all the 3D printing done. I cleaned the hairs off of these gaskets. I printed up a couple of extras. If you want one, drop me a line, shoot me a message or something. I'll send you one for like $3.50 in a regular stamped envelope anywhere in the continental United States. Anyhow, we got to get the old one off of my green gas cap. It leaks. Gasoline runs down the side of the tank every time I ride it. Matter of fact, you can see how wet it is here now. The gas cap is full of gasoline and everything else up there from where this gasket was leaking. These new ones will be a little bit harder to put in because they'll be stiffer and tighter fitting. So there we have it. It fits right in there. Let's turn around here to where the old Dream is. Ignore the mess in the shop. I'm going to come over here and we'll stick this cap on. Everything fits and works just like stock. The gas tank is pretty well full, so it will leak out. If I shake it side to side, wipe it off some because it was already. Nope. No gas cap, no gas leaking out. Lean this way over. Nope. No gas leaking out of it anyway. And that is how I 3D print gas cap gaskets. Using the Overture TPU 95A filament. I'll leave a link down below to the filament that I use. Although most any good brand of TPU filament is oil and petroleum solvent resistant. Well, not necessarily solvent, but oil, petroleum product resistant. I have done many of these gas caps for vintage motorcycles like this. But hopefully that'll be enough to help somebody out. Like I said, if it fits, the same gasket fits on my CL175 and several other Hondas with this small cap, small chrome cap. If you want one, just send me a message through this channel or leave a comment down below and I'll get in touch with you. And I'll put it in a postage paid first class mail envelope and send it to you for $3.50 a piece. Anyhow, that's it for right now. Y'all keep riding, keep wrenching, and stay crazy.